Alrighty, good morning, everyone. I see a few people starting to pile in here. I'm gonna give it a couple of minutes here, and we'll get rolling. I do have a little bit of a syllabus that I like to go over to start off, walking you through some of the basics of the software, and then we'll open up for Q&A after that, of course. While we're waiting a couple of minutes here to see how many are going to show up and attend, give it to about 10:05, and then I'll get going on the syllabus that I have. But in that meantime, in the next couple of minutes, if someone has any specific questions, fire those away, and I'll get to what I can before we get rolling on what I have created for content, and then circle back, like I said, to a Q&A again afterwards. So I'll clean up my screen a little bit here and get on the same kind of page you folks are, what you should be seeing on your first entry. Also, if you folks could just let me know that you can hear me using the questions panel. I checked my sound before. It looked like we were good to go, but just want to double check again with you folks that you have audio on your end. And let's put a face to the name. Let's throw on my camera here. All right, hopefully you folks can see me now. Get a shot of my ceiling and ceiling fans. And again, if someone or someones could let me know in the questions panel if they can see and hear the screen well. I said I've double checked on my end, but always good to get confirmation from you folks. On my end, but always good to get confirmation from you folks. All right, so 10:03, I'll give it another minute. Sure can. Jamie, how are you? Yes. All right. All that came in a little bit delayed. I'm not sure why. You all popped in there. Jeff, Alan, excellent. So like I said, I'll give it another moment here, and then we'll get rolling while I pour myself some tea. I don't know about anybody else, but we got a nice, cool, crisp fall morning here in the Northeast where I am. So, all right, we'll start to roll in a moment. But what I have up here is what most people that don't have what we call a default layout or a changed default layout should be seeing upon startup. So anybody that's either already a Trade Idea subscriber, has been a Trade Idea subscriber in the past, or has taken the test drive in the past, may have created their own layouts during those time periods. You're obviously going to load up with whatever you had saved as your default layout. However, for anybody that's fresh and brand new or has never saved a new default layout, this is what you should be seeing at this moment when you log in the software. We call it our Explosive Winners channel, and a few different items that we have in here. Let me move this way, and let me give myself a drawing tool here to highlight. Here we go. So in this, we have what we call our stock races right there. This is what we call a multi-strategy window, and essentially that M indicating it, meaning that we have multiple alert windows in there. We can see the strategies here. It's all kind of color coded for us. So this means that each one of those colors represents a different alert window, and it's a way to save screen space. So instead of having, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different alert windows taking up big real estate all over your screens, and combine all those into one multi-window here. charts, a couple different time frames, fairly self-explanatory. Hopefully you folks are familiar with candlestick charting. If not, I do suggest some web searches. There's some really easy to go over YouTube videos that are out there as well. Michael Noss has done a Back to Basics series on our education page, where he literally starts off with what is a stock and goes into charting and candlestick charting and so on and so forth. Let me drop a link to the education page for those of you that don't have it already. And this is a great resource. I'm going to refer to this over and over again throughout this webinar here. But our education page, you'd find, here's our homepage, education tab that's there. And again, for those of you that are really at the beginning of your trading journey, this page should be bookmarked and looked after consistently. The Back to Basics video down here. And again, Michael Noss goes through with his wife, who knows nothing about trading whatsoever. And he starts with what is a stock, intro to charts, candlestick patterns, and goes all the way up to artificial intelligence, 36-part series. So for those of you that are really, just kind of brand new into trading, if you're serious about this, it's work. It's hard work. There's a lot of studying to be done. I'm a self-taught trader. I have no finance background whatsoever. My background was waiting tables, bartending, and managing restaurants for nearly 27 years before I made my way into the Trade Ideas team here. So again, do yourself a service, bookmark that, head to there in your free time after this webinar, of course. With that said, what I want to do now is go over the different windows that we have in Trade Ideas, quickly go over the differences between those windows. We're going to talk about what we call right-click magic, and where you can find the different things in Trade Ideas where they live. And this will be some of the big basics. A lot of this is also covered in our Getting Started series. Again, let me share a link for that here. It's a 30-minute series. Most likely, you'll be able to skip the first video or two about logging in and exchange agreements and things like that and get right into the meat of it. So really cut it down to 24, 25 minutes for you. I cannot stress enough how important this series is, especially if you are not familiar with the software yet to this point. With that said, let's start to get into a few things here. I'm going to shrink this up so we can have some more space over here. So everything in Trade Ideas lives in two places for the software itself anyways. This is our menu bar up here where we can find starting new types of scans and windows, charts, and things of that nature. A few items in each of these that are going to be very important as you make your Trade Ideas journey. Some of it becomes into the more advanced items that you'll get to over the coming days and weeks. Everything else lives in what we call right-click magic. No matter what the window is, if you right-click, there are a ton of options in here. Any kind of scanning window is going to have a configure in it. Whether it's our races, a multi-strategy window, an alert window, or a top list, or even our single stock window. Every type of window is going to have a icon on the top left to indicate what it is. So this S indicating a single stock window. You've got the chart icon up here with candlesticks, right? The checkered flag indicating a race. M indicating a multi-window. Let me bring over a price alerts window here for you folks. We've got a price alerts window indicated by the P, docked window indicated by the D, topless indicated by the T, and I don't currently have an alert window open. However, let's get one open really fast right away by going to new, an alert window. And this is where you'll start on anything that you are looking to do new. So if you want a new alert window or top list, brokerage plus, so on and so forth, you're going to find that all in there. Let me get rid of the drawings and let me bring up an alert window. And we just click OK really fast, just so I can show you the A in the top left corner, right? New alert window. Every window that you open in Trade Ideas will have a default to it, meaning it'll come with a name. Most likely it'll say something like breaking out on volume. I think top list, maybe volume leaders or something like that it'll be called. You can change those names. Any window can be named anything. It's entirely up to you. These are just defaults that we started you off with in the system. There'll probably be some different window specific filters with some values in there. You can delete those. You can set up a alert window top list or chart in any way you want and then save it as a default, meaning that every time you open a new one, it will be that setup. So this is what I've saved mine as. I have it new alert window always. It starts off looking at cross above resistance for a selected alert. And my window specific filters always look like this. In order to do that, you'd set that up inside the configure, right click, save as default, and you do the same thing if you did it with a chart, save as default. If you did it with a multi-window, save as default, so on and so forth. Alert windows are a twofold function. They have an alert or an event that has to be triggered and happening at the same time as the filters are satisfied. Alerts are always going to be indicated by these single icons like this. Some of them will have what we call an alert specific filter on the side like this, some will not. So for example, our new high has a filter in it. If I click on new high and I were to add this alert, we can see there's a filter that can get filled in over here. Leaving that filter blank means a new daily high. If I were to put, for example, 365, meaning 365 days, 365, that gives me a 52-week high. Weekends are counted on this. So just keep that in mind if you were to use this looking for a new 5-day high, 10-day high, 30-day high, so on and so forth. Not all alerts will have these specific filters. Now, as you go through, you might say, what are these different items? What do these mean? Where's a definition for them? You can click on them, click help. So I've highlighted new ask high, and if I click help, it'll give me this web page, take me directly to what I clicked on, and it'll give me the definition of any alert or filter that I click on. Now, to get the definitions for some of these alert specific filters, we're just going to scroll down and look for that section on here. It doesn't unfortunately take us right to there as we get just the definition of the alert, but here's the alert specific filter section. You can match it up with icons and it'll give you what putting values into those different filters over here will mean in editing the scan. Get rid of this and bring this down again. So those single icons again will be your alerts. If we scroll way down, filters will have a dual icon set, this teal and purple, indicating minimum and maximum values. When you click on one of those, if you were to add the filter, it'll add the filter, bring you over to the window specific filter, and you can give it a minimum and or maximum value. Sometimes it may be difficult to figure out what adding values will do to the scan. So we have the show me function with the magnifying glass in the middle. If you were to simply click on that, you can edit the scan in real time and see what the edit will do to it. So for example, on these consecutive 15-minute candles, if I were to put a -4 here and a +5 here and the minimum and maximum values, you can see how it just edited the scan right there for me, telling me exactly what the scan will be doing by giving it those values. If I press OK, those values are now in the scan. We could press OK and it would return us anything that meets the scan in that criteria. Go through the rest of the tabs really quickly, and most all this will apply to top list, so we'll be able to cruise through top list very quickly. But we have the exchanges tab here. Everybody will default to the major US exchanges. You can always add Pink Sheets, OTB, and the BATS if you want. If you're looking to scan Canadian stocks, you can do that as well here. Symbols list is a function where we can tell a scan to only look at certain stocks or exclude certain stocks or indexes. We have a lot of pre-made lists that are in here that you can go over. You can add your own with the symbols list function by going to Tools, Symbols List, Create New List. You can name that list. Oops. Create New List, Test List. And then you could edit it. We have Test List, and we could edit it by putting symbols in there that we want. Then we could come back to the scan, right click, configure, symbols list, and I could add any of these lists that I want to add in here. And you'll have your personal list somewhere in here as well. You simply click on anything that you wanted. You'll add it here. You put a check mark in to the boxes that you want. You can right click, remove a list if you want, and you could select only the following list or exclude the following list. Here's a quick video that I did on creating watch lists for you folks. You can take that, bookmark it, and watch it at your leisure. And there you go. Columns are going to be your displayed columns. So for example, let me get out of this here like this. We can see these are the columns that are here that I have currently selected: price and change from close, volume of shares traded today, relative volume. You can add new columns in a few different ways here. First, you can come to the search tab and scroll down. Columns are always going to be filters. And you could add any one of these columns by selecting it, show column. In the columns tab, you'll see anything that is a filter indicated by an icon, and you can highlight and move them right to left to the selected columns, or back left to right to get rid of them from the selected columns to the bank of items over here. There are several items that are not filters that can be included in a scan. Things like type have to do with the alert that you're using, so the type of alert that came in. We have our symbol. So if we look over here, I don't have type right now, but I do have symbol. I don't have description, but I'm going to add it now. All right. I don't have quality. I'm going to add it now. Those three that I just went over, type, description, and quality, have to do with the alert, the type of alert, the description of the alert, and the quality, which has to do with the alert specific filter. Now, if I press OK, I've just added all those columns. I can widen this all out here. The crossed above resistance has to do with an hours and a quality alert of those hours. Again, you can read about that in the alert specific filters section of that help page that I showed. And it gives me what the quality of hours would be here, a description where it crossed the resistance, all right, and the type of alert, again, right there. And this will be for those that have possibly multiple alerts that they're using in an alert window and or multi-strategy window, so you know what the alert was that triggered that's there. That's the short and skinny of alert windows. And again, in the help video that I shared before on the getting started, covers a lot of this as well. If you have further questions, help tab, always very helpful. I like puns, in case you didn't know. I love terrible dad jokes. Hopefully you folks will be joining me in my 3:30 webinars every single day, Monday through Friday, when I take over for Barry on the YouTube side, and you'll get familiar with those as well. In here, we can get to our fully searchable user's guide. In the user's guide, if we scroll down, you're going to see sections on all these different things. A for alert window, T for topless, M for M window, S for single stock, price alert, so on and so forth. Section for all these in here. This is fully searchable. A lot of it is a lot of repeat and repetition because things get repeated over and over again. We also have a full table of contents. If I click on that, the table of contents here on the left, and search function that's here that you can start typing things in and getting a description, taking you straight to a section for that as well. Moving right along, let's get to topless windows now. Topless windows, as we can see, look very similar in the tabs that are here, but what we're missing is no alert, no selected alerts tab up here. We jump right to filters. Topless work a little different, where we're only using filters. If I come to the search, you're only finding filters in here. And topless refresh every 30 seconds with all the stocks that meet the filter criteria. Of course, how are we going to order it if there's no time-stamped alert? Again, alert windows have a time-stamped alert saying, hey, this stock did exactly what you asked me to look for at this exact second. Topless instead have what we call a sort. So instead of the alert selected alerts tab, we have a sort tab here. So once the topless has found the stocks that we want, how do we sort it? We could sort it on any filter, change from close, for example, change from open, for example, and we could sort it with the biggest winners on top of that, or we could sort it with the biggest losers on top just by swapping back and forth between those. And again, if we don't see in the sort something that we want to sort on, we could find it in here. You do not need to scan on what you're sorting for. So for example, you could scan for stocks with meeting certain criteria, and then you could say, I want to scan with the ones that have the biggest options action on top. We'd come to options, OPTIONS, and we could say we want to sort by the biggest options volume as a percent today. And I could just simply sort by that, and I can never have to scan for that inside here, but I could say, find me stocks that meet certain criteria, and then show me the ones that have the most options action in it, and ordered with the biggest options action like that. From there, if you are looking for options, obviously you can go into your broker, scan for the contracts that are available for you and the options chains, so on and so forth like that. Again, the rest is very similar in here with symbols lists, the exchanges we can search, obviously searching in here, and a summary of what we're doing. Now, there's two different sorts that happen on top list. We have the server sort, again, how we're going to order the stocks that it found. Then we have the display sort, okay? And a color sort. So I guess three sorts. If I were to bring up, let me see if I can find a top list here. So here we have this top list that's here, okay? And this is an example of scanning, sorting, without the scannability. So if I come to the configure, you can see here, I decided to look for stocks between price X and Z. They have certain volume metrics and they're above a certain range in 20 days. But I'm sorting them on that options volume. And if we get out of the scan, you can see here, the biggest ones in descending order based on that options volume, just like that. This is the display sort, okay, versus the server sort. And I could change that if I wanted to display it by double clicking on the change from close, for example. And now you can see how the change from close is ordered biggest winners to losers. But you can see it doesn't have an even color scheme now because my color sort is based on the options. And you can see the options are no longer in that nice descending order. So there's different ways that we can display and sort. For the color, we can right click, come to properties, selected colors. And there's some different items in here, how we can color schematic those. And we could search how we want to display the color sort like that. Again, I refer you back to user's guide if you want to get more in depth with that. A lot of this starts to get into the more in-depth features, but I just want to touch on it to make sure that you're all clear and understand that. If we come to table of contents, I could simply type color. That would be better. Here we go. And we can see top lists for colors, alert windows for colors, multi-strategy. All right. So we can find all those different ways to color different windows just like that. That takes us through the basics of top list. Let's keep moving here into multi-strategy windows. What a multi-strategy window is let's say, let me get rid of this top list. Let's say I've got several alert windows. And these were all different alert windows. I'm just duplicating this here. And, you know, these take up real estate and there's different things I want to see and different things I want, you know, columns for. Well, I may not have the screen space for all this. I may only have one or two screens. I can take these and I can put them in a multi-strategy window. And we could right click. We can come to what we call our collaborate feature. I can click, copy, press OK, come here, go to strategies, right click on this, new strategy, collaborate. I can get rid of that right here, paste that collaborate link in here, and now that's in there. And I can do that with every one of these, put them all in here. And then there's different configurations that we can do in here. Some of the configurations will be here inside the properties of the multi-strategy window. Some of the configurations can be right inside. So this is the new alert. All right. We don't have a name for it in here necessarily, but we can give it names. We can do things like that into the configure of that in here. Again, this is all covered in the Getting Started series and the user's guide. And I want to breeze through all this as quickly as I can so I can get to your folks' questions. Let me get rid of all that. That takes care of multi-strategy windows. Moving along into the single stock window. Single stock window is a lovely tool that I would hate to trade without. It's going to give me a snapshot of many different statistics of a stock that I'm looking at that I'm interested in. Again, it'll have a default. However, you can change this by coming to the configure and a right click. And every filter that exists will be within here. So if there's a filter within a top list, you can put it into a single stock window. You can simply click on it. Show column. You're going to look for the column here on the bank of columns, highlight it and move it over to the selected columns. You press OK, and that column will now appear here. Be realistic on spacing. There are people that try to literally put 100 columns into this window. This can obviously not display 100 columns, right? So just, you know, be realistic. I don't know what the limit is per spacing and how you size this out. You know, you can test these things obviously like that. Back into the configure again here. You can order your columns as well, how they are, up and down, left and right, where you want them to live. And there's a number of different things that can go in here. There's got to be over 200 filters. So there's 200 different combinations or more that you can put into all these here. It's a great way to know, you know, different volume metrics. If you were looking at fundamentals, different fundamental metrics. If you want to know float, your change from the close, we can add a change from open, so on and so forth. A really incredible amount of information that can be put into those while we're scanning, that we're not only looking at the charts, but gleaming some more important information on those charts, whether it's swing trading or day trading. It covers our single stock window. And again, all this in the user's guide. You can always refer back to there. And if you have more questions on this afterwards, we can get to it. I'm going to skip compare counts for now, but compare counts, just to touch quickly, is like market breadth. We can do that in different ways. At their core, they're an alert window. There's a great set of videos inside the user's guide on those. Charts, we start with basic candlestick charting here. There are different chart styles that we offer. Right click again, everything is in here. You can find things with like drawing tools and a right click. You can find things like turning on and off pre and post market and different types of visuals that we can add to the charts in the properties. Then we have chart style. We offer candlestick, line, bar, area, high, low, close, open, high, low, close. So, you know, these are all available options to you, however you like to chart. There are also compare charts. If you like to do compare charts, comparing one set of indexes or stocks to another. You can also change your colors, your backgrounds, your watermarks, so on and so forth in these charts here. Very, very customizable. We have a number of indicators that can be added to charts. There's a few different ways we can get to these items here. Of course, indicators as we right click here, but as well as time frame and price alerts that we can add to charts that can all be done up here as well. Time frame, chart styles, drawing tools, indicators, and we can add a price alert like this. Price alerts, I think, are one of the greatest tools that we have. A right click, I can add a price alert to the chart. We can give it whatever number we want on that. Are we a long alert, a short alert? We can add a note to that. And when a price alert goes off, we can add a sound to that as well. I want to bring over a price alerts window. So here's some price alerts that I have set from this past Friday. If I click on any of these here, the ones that are triggered will be in green. The ones that are not triggered will be in blue. Again, with the price alerts window covering twofold with the alerts, price alerts and the charts at the same time here. Right click, we can come to columns instead of properties. We can see the selected columns. We can see the bank over here. We get at any of these columns, and that's what you'll see up here. So we can see, am I from the long side? Am I coming from above or below on price? What is the actual price alert? What is the current price? My symbol, time that it had triggered, so on and so forth. There are a multitude of columns. Some people want more columns. Some people want less columns. For example, I don't use the notes column. I don't need a note for it right now. Price alerts themselves can also be dragged and adjusted right on screen like this. And you can set up alerts for sound on these by going to actions, right click, actions, check play sound, look at the sound setup. Text to speech is very popular. These will all kind of have a beep noise to them. There's also the ability, if you have custom wave sound files, you can go use custom, select sound, and you may have some things that are defaulted in here. You may have some ones that you want to add. So for example, here, Mad Money, I can add the applause. And there we go. And go back to text to speech. We can press OK. Sound alerts also live in alert windows. Right click, again, properties, actions, check play sound, sound setup. And you'll find the same thing with our AI Holly as far as sound alerts go. So those are the three areas that they live in. Give us an example of setting off a sound alert here on these. If I drag this down to the price at 610, should give me
PACB.
So there you can hear it, PACB. Again, for those that didn't hear.
PACB. PACB.
And I could bring that anywhere, reset it. I could bring it back down, bring it under the price. So when your price meets your level,
PACB.
you can get that sound alert just like that in the price alerts window. Very, very handy tool here. So that should cover the basics of charts and price alerts. Cruising down, we covered charts, price alerts, welcome screen. We're going to skip. Let's move on to the channel bar. We have two different channel bars that we open or that we offer. There's our dock channel bar and a free floating channel bar. This is the free floating channel bar. This is the dock channel bar here. Some people want their windows free floating. Some people want their windows all grouped together. Our channel bars are layouts, and a layout is a conglomerate of scans and or charts put together. Only one layout can be open at a time. So if I click on a channel here, let me just close that out. It's going to load that channel here as a full layout. If I click on a second channel here, it'll change that channel and it will load that new channel as a layout. You can save individual windows or a multitude of individual windows together as a conglomerate that's not a layout so that you can load it into other layouts without closing it. You can simply right click. Let's say, for example, I wanted the momentum scan here. I could right click that, save or share to cloud. And I might say I want a couple of windows from here. So I can put a check mark here. You can see in the momentum, in the extreme master blaster, and the low float winners. And I could say, call it my 3 Momo windows. Now, if I save this like this, watch what will happen. File, load from cloud. And if I click that, now I had those 3 windows load on another screen, bring them over, and I never lost what else I had up here. This is how you can take and customize and build your own layouts from the channels. So like I said, you cannot edit the channels themselves, but you can make edits on the channels and then save it to your cloud or save it locally. So for example, let's just say I had multiple scans and multiple channels that I want to save. I could say, well, geez, I like this Extreme Master Blaster. Right click, save or share to cloud, and I'm saving Extreme Master Blaster. And then I can come back to the Explosive Winners channel and I can say, gee, you know, I like the race that was in the Explosive Winners channel, and I want to combine that with the Master Blaster scan. Right click, save or share to cloud, save. On the channel bar, we have a show more function here where we have a multitude of other channels, and there may be something in the short squeeze channel, for example, that I like. And I'm going to load the short squeeze channel. And I'm going to say, gee, you know, I really like that Shorts Feeling the Pain topless. And I'm going to right click and save that to the cloud. Bang. Now I can say, building my own layout moving forward, and get rid of all these other items. I can go File, Load from Cloud. And there's the Shorts Feeling the Pain. Loads on another window. Going to bring that over. And File, Load from Cloud. Biggest Winners race. And there we go. Now I started to build a layout. And File, Load from Cloud. And Shorts Feeling the Pain. I did that. Extreme Master Blaster. That was the third one we did. And here we go. And now I could say, well, gee, I need charts, right? So I can go File, New, Chart Window. I can bring a chart window over here. And I want to have a couple of charts, right? File, New, Chart Window. And now I've built a layout. I can even edit this. So now I've started to create my own layout. And I said, yeah, I like the Shorts Feeling the Pain, but you know what? If I come to the configure, I don't like the prices that we put in here. I don't want to see stocks that are less than $2, for example. And now I've edited the scan. I've created a layout. And again, I have 2 ways that I can save this. I can either come to File, Save or Share to Cloud, and I can start putting check marks in the individual items that I want saved as this layout so I could load it all together as a conglomerate into other layouts. Or if I just want it as its own standalone layout that every time I load it, it closes everything else, I can click Entire Layout and you can see it put checks in there for me. Again, if I go to File, save or share to cloud, and I just start putting checks in a few of these here. And I can go test set of windows, and I go save. Now watch what happens when I load from cloud and I test set of windows. It'll load these all, and it's load them all together on another window, and I can bring them over. And so if this had been a different set of scans that I wanted to add to the whole conglomerate of layouts, or the conglomerate of the other layout that was here, I could do so. And so this is how you can go through and say, I want to make my own layout based on these pre-made scans that I might like from different channels that are in here. That covers our channel bars more than less. Let me start to clean some of this up around here. And what else did I not cover so far? We made it all the way down to here. Okay, let's hit our stock races. Stock races at their core are a top list, but it's a new way to use the data from a top list to show stocks moving live in real time. So I want to come here and I want to show off a window that I like to humble brag that I created that I call relative strength from the open race. Okay. First, I'm going to put this window in here. And those of you that are looking to day trade momentum stocks, this is going to be a window you want. Take that cloud link and I want you to copy it, go to File, load from cloud, and it should be put in here already, that URL. In the event it's not, simply paste it in, click load from cloud, click load, and it should load that for you. And you should have something that looks like this. Let me get a chart here because this is going to be a two-fold illustration. Nice, good size chart. Again, races being a twofold function of top list. So if I were to right click, and I hope you folks can follow along with me here, we right click this race, we can go to configure, and that will give us this here. All right. And this is the simple configure of a race. We can click advanced, and now we get a top list configure here because that is what the races are based on. In this race, I've told it to look for stocks between $2 and $100 that traded 250,000 shares on the day. I put this 5-minute volume percent in here to make sure that we're finding stocks that have traded a few shares every few minutes. So we're not looking at stocks that have only traded 100,000 shares in this lot, and then they didn't trade for 30 minutes and traded 20,000 shares here, because those are not, while they're liquid as far as shares traded, they're not liquid stocks that are actively trading nonstop. They're probably funds that are scaling in and out of large share sizes and not something that's actively momentum tradable, right? Then in this, I've used Bollinger Bands. I do not use Bollinger Bands in my charting at all, but Bollinger Bands, as per John Bollinger, are a way to scan for momentum. Now, many people think that Bollinger Bands are a way to scan for a revision to mean. That was never the intention of them from John Bollinger. That's not to say that's not a way we can use them. But in the spirit of John, I use them in a way to find momentum stocks. And I was just experimenting, and it happened to work very well. So don't get hung up on the momentum of this here. And it's one of the things I like to illustrate is this is a way to think outside the box here as far as scanning. And then once this scan is finding those, I have to sort it. So it goes back to the top list sort. I decided I want to scan on change from open. My logic behind this, and I know many people think to themselves, well, I want to scan for gappers that are breaking away. But that means anything that gap down and reverses big, you'd never see. So you still could get the gappers that move big, but you'd be missing this here. And that's why change from open is so powerful and important in my day trading. So once I found these stocks, I'm sorting them based on the change from open. Get rid of that. Let's open the actual top list to this here. And we can see at the close of Friday, this was a huge list of stocks that came in here, right? And we could see change from open in the column over here. But what happens if the stock down here that's only at a 11.9% from the open is the one right now that's making the huge move? But its huge move isn't going to overtake these stocks that are over here. So it can't climb the list. We won't notice it climbing a list like that, right? But how do I know that that's the one that's moving, right? And this is the stock that I want to be in. That's where the race comes in. In the race configure, our lanes are just taking the stocks that we have the number of lanes for and sticking them into the scan. So I have 10 lanes. And so the top 10 stocks is what would populate in. I run my races for 3 minutes because I have a winner's box over here, as you will too, or a finish line over here, to see what's been winning the most. These might have the most interest in the day, and it creates a watch list on top of the live data that we'll see on this side of it. Then I'm racing on change from open. You can race on anything that you have displayed as a column. And again, that goes back to the configure of a top list and having columns set up. So now I'm sorting and looking for stocks with the biggest change from open. And now I race them, change from open, with what we call sorting by a delta value in the race. The delta value essentially says, now that I have all my stocks here in my race, I'm going to put them all evenly. And the one that is moving the most on a change from open currently, not what it's done in the past, but what it's doing right now as it's made the race, those are the ones that are going to be the ones that are highlighted in the race. The beautiful part of this is we have a replay mode that I'm going to put on the last trading day to illustrate exactly how this was done. And the replay mode is going to allow me to see in 6.5 minutes what this race did for an entire day. And so on Friday, ATXI was a high flyer. And look at this. Not only did it have a nice gap up, look at that move that it had in the first half an hour in that gap up. And that's why it was highlighted here. All right. I want to pause this for a moment, because remember, this is 6.5 minutes doing an entire trading day, right? So we can see ATXI had that nice move early on. We can see FRO had that nice move early on, right? And it's pointing to me in real time. Now, unfortunately, the replay mode isn't going to give me how the finish line works. And you folks will be able to see this moving forward in the trading week starting tomorrow. But you have two different options here. We can show all winners, or we can show top 10 winners, all right? I have this scan running twice. I have it duplicated, one with all winners, one with top 10 winners. So I can always see what was the last set of winners, the last couple of winners, plus I can see what is leading the top 10 board of winners, giving me not only live data on this side, what's moving in real time, what's happening right now, but things that have happened in the past. And I can create price alerts on charts to keep me informed of how that price action is happening and folding there. I cannot stress how important these races have become in my trading. I was more a swing trader. I had pretty decent success swing trading. I was not a good day trader at all. In January, I decided to start using these races, and it has completely transformed my day trading. And I went from a day trader that was like really kind of sort of okay and make a little bit of money every week on day trading, but not enough to ever pay my bills, to I am now able to pay bills with day trading. Now, granted, I've got several years of trading experience, and I apply, the risk management that I was successful with on a day trading time frame from my swing trading, and experience comes into this. But what I found very difficult in my day trading was with alert windows and top lists, I just couldn't seem to find the action when I wanted to find the action in time. There was too much going on, too many alerts going off. I couldn't, scan through this quick enough. Wait, is this the one moving? Wait, is this the one moving now? Is that the one moving now? The race is now taken and saying, these are the ones that are moving. You don't have to jump around. The ones that are on this board and are moving up and down this line, just like this, these are the ones that are moving right now. Pay attention to me. It's narrowed down that data. Lots of data is great, but lots of data is only great at certain times. So I know I'm romanticizing on these races a little bit, but speaking from experience as someone who just was not very good at day trading, that has now all of a sudden in the last couple of months really found their way into day trading And that's not to say I don't take losses. I take losses every week. If you folks join me on my 330 sessions, I'll go over what I took losses on. I go over what I won on. I go over why I looked at things the way I looked at them, so on and so forth. So I not only cover the races, the function of the software, I talk a lot of trading in this because that's what you folks also, many of you are looking for, is education and trading as well. And so while I can't teach you to trade in the sense of I can't say, hey, buy this or do that, I can say, this is why I did this. And you may be able to relate to it in some kind of way, help getting you a kickstart on not only the software, but your actual day trading plan, your swing trading plan, and so on and so forth. The last thing I want to cover in here is, second to last thing I want to cover in here is the Market Explorer. We have our legacy tech. That's what I've gone over: alert, top, multi, race windows. The Market Explorer is a new tech that allows us to do things that we cannot do currently with the legacy tech. This will become more customizable, but for now, there are scans in here that can't really be done or done well with the legacy tech that we're doing with the Market Explorer. Michael Noss, our resident chartered market technician, who has also encouraged me to get CMT certified, which I am doing currently. I will take my level 1 this December. Has created a multitude of scans that have been highly requested or come from very big trading communities that we want to have those people come into our fold. So things like bear and bull flags, different gap scans, some candlestick patterns, some different composites, okay? Moving average scans. If you folks are familiar with Rob Smith and the Strat, we have a number of their scans that we're adding more, different support and resistance scans. All the work is done in here for you. There's also a user's guide on the Market Explorer. So if we had gone, again, new Market Explorer, you can see here, Market Explorer user's guide. Let me get rid of this. Get rid of that. And if I click that, that will give me this web page that brings us to the Market Explorer section of the user's guide. And there are videos for these different scans. What do they mean? What are they looking for? We can click on any of these here. Michael Noss has been gracious enough to go through each one of these and explain, not only with illustration on charts, but with illustrating in these short videos as well. So for those of you that are still trying to figure out, what am I scanning for? Why am I scanning for it? The Market Explorer can be a teacher and a guide on these different trading strategies in ways that we are presenting to scan those. So that's just a touch on that quickly. And again, user's guide, going to be a friend of yours over the coming days and weeks for that here. Now, the last thing that I want to cover for the moment before I open it up for Q&A is our AI Holly. New premium window here. There are two options. One is the strategy trades window. One is the strategy window. One is the strategy trades window. Okay. The strategy window here will tell you the strategies that optimized and back tested of her 50+ base strategies that she's coming to play with for the day here. And there's some win percents and profit factors that are over here. And we can see what timestamps these will have. All right. And during the day when this is live, if there's any trades that have been taken in that strategy today, how many trades that strategy's taken, what its conservative profit and moderate profit are. Aggressive profit means trading without a stop. Please don't do that. Trading without a stop it's very risky in gambling. You never know when something's going to, all of a sudden you're at 23 and maybe the whole market tanks and all of a sudden, you're at 23 and next thing you know, you're at, 22 within a few seconds. And now you're down a whole $1 per share on that. And, you could have had a stop here that might have protected a bunch of capital and you don't. And then all of a sudden you're in free fall, you were at 22 and then you're at 21 and then, so on and so forth. So please, folks, I really think trading, whether it's day trading or swing trading, it should be called risk managing and not trading. That's what we are as risk managers. Holly gives us stop levels. You may not agree with the stop level and you're welcome to edit it or look at a stop level that you like, but she always puts out a stop level. And I always highly recommend at least giving that level a look and considering that as your stop level. So that is what happens here in the strategy trades window. Strategy window. Just because a strategy comes to the day active does not mean it will trade. There is no list of stocks Holly's looking at. The list of stocks is the US stock market. And if a stock meets a strategy criteria, it will trigger, and you'll see it pop up here. And you'll see it pop up here in the strategy trades window. Again, look, strategy trades window, just strategy window. And those are the differences here. In the strategies window, if we right click again, we look at columns. You have your bank here of items that you can put in for columns. You have the selected columns, and you can decide what you want to look at. For me, again, aggressive profit. I would never consider aggressive profit as someone who takes trading very seriously. All right. We do have the moderate and conservative modes, which I'm going to go over in a moment here. You have your entry and your entry prices and entry times. We have our exit reasons. We have our exit times. I can add those from the bank here. We have our exit price. Did I put that in yet? Nope. So exit time, exit price, exit reason is up there. And there's a multitude of others that we can all throw in here for Holly. A lot of different items in there. As I always say, different strokes for different folks on what we like to have here for the displayed items on Holly stock alerts. If I press OK, we can see those different ones that'll be added here. And now if I right click, I'm going to come to history, and I'm going to use time frame to go to Friday so that we can look at Friday and what happened here. If I press OK, here we can see what happened with Holly on Friday. And I'm going to go over a few different items in here. First, on the properties, I want to show AI trades, see how there's a check mark in there on properties. So we're there. Now, if I click on Holly's alerts, you can see here a dark shaded area and a light shaded area. This dark shaded area coincides with what we call our conservative. All right. The full shaded area like this, where it gets lighter this way, coincides with what we call moderate. Conservative has 5 different exits. Your exit reason will always be conservative. Your exit price will always be conservative. And your exit time will always be conservative. Okay. Did I add exit time? I feel like I didn't, and I'd like to get that in here. Exit time. Oh, my exit time's way over there. Excuse me. Not in the order that I like. So here's the exit time. I'm going to bring that over here with exit price and exit reason. So these 3, no matter what, will always be a conservative. Your entry time, it doesn't matter. It's conservative or moderate. It's the same. Your entry time, excuse me. Your entry time is your entry time. The reason why your moderate doesn't have an exit reason or exit time is because moderate means this. The only 2 things that will take you out of a moderate trade or moderate risk mode is a stop hit, which is still going to be exit reason. So exit reason is on a stop will be moderate and conservative, or the end of the day. Holly holding it to the end of the day if she doesn't get stopped out in moderate, and that's it. So the exit time would be market close always outside of a stop for moderate mode. It's also something that we might call risk on and risk off. Moderate being risk on, meaning it's a type of day where we can hold a little more risk. We're holding on to our risk. Risk off, conservative, meaning, you know what? We don't want to hold on to risk for too long today. Now, the conservative exit reasons, you have a stop, you have a timed exit, you have a profit save, you have a reduced risk, and we don't have an illustration of it right now, but I'm going to pull one up in a second. We have a target hit. Not every strategy has a target. Some only have a timed exit. Some will have a target and a timed exit. If I come to history, I'm going to go to the last 60 days, and we can see some targets that were hit here on some different strategies, okay? Coming back in on the history here, let me get back to this day here because this will illustrate a little better. If we look at the timed exit, we can see here, Holly got into the trade here. There's the stop, there's the target, all right? And we ended up never hitting the target, but it was a nice winner all day long. Holly never felt like there was trouble, and so she rode it to a timed exit here, just like that. This was a short trade indicated by L and S, long and short, long. There's your symbol again. So Holly decided to ride this trade all day long. There was nothing to take her out. as far as another conservative exit. So she wrote it with a time stop conservative exit here. HRMY, different story. First, HRMY is a long trade. Whoops, I did not click HRMY. My apologies. There we go. So there it was as a long trade. We can see she took it later in the day. We can see this shaded area here indicating the conservative. There's our moderate, and we have what we call a profit save. What happened here is that Holly took the trade here. She was up, and when it started to reverse, decided, I'm going to get out. I don't want to let winner turn it. I don't want to let a winner turn into a loser. So profit save is similar to a trailing stop, not the exact metrics, but that's what happened here. And you get your exit time, you get your exit reason again, and your exit price. Then we head into what we call a reduced risk. Again, conservative mode indicated by the darker highlight or darker shade, riding it to the end of the day if it had been moderate to this way. And reduced risk means that Holly got in here. The trade has been underwater all day and never hits the stop, but it doesn't look good for the trade. And the algorithm decides we're going to reduce our risk. We're going to get out. We're not going to wait for a stop to hit. We don't think it's reversing. And that was lo and behold the case here. With Holly, as the great Paul Tudor Jones said, or to paraphrase, no man or no human is better than a machine, and no man or no human is better than a man with a machine. Meaning that just blindly trusting any scan, whether it's Holly or an alert window that you created, probably not the best idea. Holly makes some really great entries, really great entries. The exits are kind of predetermined in a sense that your target's your target. It does not adjust. Your stop is your stop. It does not adjust. The algorithm that does the reduced risk and the profit save are the algorithm that do the reduced risk and profit save. They may not always make the best exit as well. So you may have something that you feel you're really up, you're really comfortable in, and you want to exit it when Holly is not exiting it. Especially those that have more trading experience, they may decide that they want to hold on. So for example, MOS here is another short. Holly makes a great entry, makes a great move down, and you may decide somewhere here before you reverse this far on this profit save, you want to exit here. You've already got this wick up, you're moving up, and you don't want to wait any longer. You want to make that exit now. You think you can manage a trade better than Holly. Please do that. You know, you should be taking the scanning and folding it into your own risk management systems as well. Holly was not created specifically for you or specifically for me or specifically for anybody else. And you may see things that Holly does not see. Holly didn't wake up, and know that the CPI report came out today and that, anything can come out and go flying one way or the other during the day. Holly doesn't know what Fed governors are speaking today. Holly doesn't know there's a war in Ukraine. Holly doesn't know that an earthquake just, shut down tons of refineries. So, for example, she could be in a ton of oil stocks and all of a sudden, she might be short a bunch of oil stocks. And all of a sudden, something happens that's going to affect oil stocks negatively. And she all of a sudden gets all these reverses. She can't react to that news like we can. So Holly is fantastic in many ways, but like any other machine, has her limitations. And that's where human and machine is oh so very important. Okay, I think I've really kind of covered a lot of the basics of the things that I think people are most interested, need to know. I've gone over that user's guide several times. The last thing I should actually just touch on these channels, there's a description of all of them. I think a lot of them are very self-explanatory: pre-market, after hours, momentum trading, swing trading, explosive winners, your sector status. I think we know about, meme stocks, all right, options. But in the event that something you come across is not clear to you, in the help section, there is a channel description. We just made a bunch of edits to the channels recently. I have not had a chance to go in and edit everything inside the channel descriptions. I think I'm pretty up to date on it. If I'm missing something, please don't crucify me. There should be enough in here to get you an explanation of everything that's in there for channels. Channel name might have changed or something like that, but more than less, I'd say 99.9% should be up to date, accurate. If you come across with something that's not, give me an email, support@trade-ideas.com. You can reach the support team and myself, SUPPORT at trade-ideas.com. And that's not just pertaining to this, any question that you have on any scanner, any part of the software, fire us an email there at any time and we'll get back to you ASAP. But, plenty of help guides in here. You're not trading alone. A lot of stuff up in here to get. Talked your ear off. You've been patient with me. I greatly appreciate that. If anybody has questions, please start firing those away for me. And let me know. Give everybody a moment. Hopefully you folks have something here for me. I know there are things that I did not cover, so perhaps you have some questions on those items. What am I looking for? My education page. So for example, in the user's guide, if you have questions, we didn't touch Brokerage Plus and the simulator. We did not touch on back testing. We did not touch on compare count windows, external linking, docking. He's getting into some of the more advanced functions of the software, but I am here. I'm happy to go over simulated trading. I'm happy to go over the one-click trading. If you have questions on indicators, so on and so forth, please fire those away for me here. I'm taking a few sips of tea. All right, so Bob and C, when using alert scanner for momentum stocks, you were firing on new price. What happens later in the day when that same stock rips? How do you find that? It will continue to alert you the entire day unless you use the do not repeat function. In history mode, you'll see all the alerts that would have came through. So let me just whip out an alert window really fast. Let's go new high, add alert. All right, let's look at stocks between, I don't know, just a minimum of $5, relative volume of 2 will give them, traded at least, let's say 500,000 shares on the day. And so this is going to have a lot of alerts in it. When I click this here, and it populates on the screen, there we go. When I click that here, if I go into history and I go last trading day, you're going to see that this repeated some of these alerts over and over and over again. And so every time it came through. Now, some people may want to see those alerts being repeated. Some may not. During the live scanning, let me get off of history. We can right click, come to properties and go to don't repeat. And I can set it for these different time frames to not repeat for these different time frames here. So for example, I created a scan. Come to configure. And I'm going to just go with the basis of the scan here. I had created a scan where I want to find stocks that had pulled off the high of the day, but are moving back up again. So what I did in this, and this is, I think, a good exercise to show just how to build any kind of scan, is I said, well, I don't want to see stocks making a new high, right? But I need to see them moving up. So we have these different alerts, and I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to write high, and we can see here I have alerts for a 5-minute high, 10-minute high, 15-minute high, 30-minute high, and 60-minute high. So what I did on the scan that I had created, it didn't turn out to be a great scan, just an FYI. But I'm always working on scans and trying to mess around with the back testing and optimizing to see what I can produce here. But so 5-minute high, I can add that alert. All right, and then I can search and say, well, how do I find stocks that are off the high of the day? We have a position in range for today, indicated by this D, position in range. And I can add that filter. Now I can say, find me stocks where they're at least, let's say, 35% off the low of the day, but they're no more than 75% above the high of the day, meaning that they're off today's high of the day. And again, I can see that indicated here with the show me function. And so now when I've got this looking like this, if I come back to the selected alerts, we can see that here. I'm going to press OK. And if I go to the history from the last trading day, and I'm going to scroll down and let's go to some earlier alerts in the day. One other note to make: in the history mode, every scan can only load up to 1,000 entries. So you may see it say more up here. You would right click history and you'd click on the more and it'll bring you back starting from the last spot that it was timestamped. And this, it seems like that this is where the first alert came from, KR. But let's move up a middle of the day here and DUK. And we can see indicated by this blue arrow here, this is where I got the alert, right? So we were off the high of the day. Up here, that topping shadow had taken out the topping shadow of that here. And so I got an alert here. Unfortunately, the alert didn't continue, but we had a big sell-off on Friday. But it found what I was looking for. I was off the low of the day. I was off the high of the day. And I got an alert while the stock was moving up. So that's how, we would start to build stocks. And what I always tell people are scans. And what I always tell people when they're building a scan is ask yourself questions and then answer those questions, right? With the filters and the alerts. I'm looking for stock ABC. What on a chart would be how I found stock ABC or XYZ or so on and so forth. So let me know if that should answer you, I believe, Bob. But if not, or if I wasn't clear, let me know and I'll jump back in and just maybe give me some more things to some more questions or direction on answering that. I'm going to move on to Tradus. Question about trade ideas, e-signal integration. Does that work with E-Trade, or does only E-Trade integrate with only work with trade ideas proper? So I don't know about e-signal integrating with E-Trade. We have E-Trade is licensed a very old web version of our software that's integrated in their system. But it's 10-year-old tech or 11-year-old tech. So as far as that goes with trade ideas and e-signal, you can externally link to, if you have the full trade ideas subscription, you can externally link to e-signal for their charting if that's what you're looking to do. And then you could still directly link to E-Trade as well with our Brokerage Plus module here. And so you can, I don't have an E-Trade account, so I can't do that personally, but you could have the three of them with an external linking to e-signal's charts and then an internal linking to E-Trade to be able to make those trades through trade ideas essentially and manage those trades here in the Brokerage Plus module. So I think that's what you're looking for, Bob. Yes, that's good. All right, perfect. And again, Bob, don't hold back on any questions that you have. So I think that kind of answers what you're looking for, the Tradus, but let me know if I didn't cover it properly or if I missed something or I wasn't clear on something, let me know. Okay, I'm taking that thank you as that was worked. And then again, user's guide, always going to be our friend. Where's my user's guide? Do I have that open still? No, I did not have that open. So help user's guide, bring that over again. Brokerage Plus module, all right. We've got something on that in here, right there for you, all right. We've got external linking here. And again, external linking is just you click on a symbol in trade ideas and it will send it to your broker, your broker's charts. From there, you'd still have to share size and execute. So I use Thinkorswim in a lot of my trading. My main account is Thinkorswim. And so when I click on a symbol in trade ideas, it sends it to Thinkorswim and then I do my orders from Thinkorswim. I also have an IB account that I do some testing with and I can trade right to IB from this inside trade ideas. So that's the difference between Brokerage Plus and external linking, or some of the differences. And you can find those right there and there. And again, you can always give us an email as well. Tyman, is there a pre-made scan that will alert for momentum stocks that based later on during the day and gathering momentum again. I think the race that I shared with you, that's something that you'd want to look at. Races in general. So again, I'm going to share that race. I hope you were here for my explanation of that race. I think the race is a great way because as soon as something starts to meet it again and it's gathering new momentum, it'll appear on that race again. Relative, R-E-L-A-T-I-V-E, relative strength from the open race. Share, copy. And so again, you can, for those that aren't familiar, that URL that I just sent you, copy that URL, file, load from cloud, paste that URL in here. If it is not, click load. And then you have that scan. You can right click, save or share to cloud, save it, and it'll be up here in file load from cloud afterwards for you. You can load that at any point and any time and any layout that you want. I think that's why the races are great, because when something loses its momentum, for this momentum scan, when something loses momentum, it's gone. If it gains that momentum back, you'll have it back again. And I always encourage everybody, experiment and explore. And especially with the races is great because you can go back and replay the races and say, and look, what jumped on the scan early, what jumped off the scan after it was on scan early, what came back to the scan later in the day. And you'll find that with the replay mode and how to do that. So, all right, perfect, Ty. Excellent, excellent, excellent. If you weren't here, I was going to do a quick synopsis or replay of what I had talked about earlier on that. But let me know if what I'm describing makes sense to you. And then again, I encourage everybody to explore. This race finds a lot of low float stuff that gets really whippy. You know, to give you an example of something I took a bad bath on, meaning a bad loss on, LUCY, not this Friday that passed, but the Friday before, I jumped in on the scan. I jumped in on the stock here on LUCY. So this is so wait, hold on. I got to scale back some days here. So make sure I get the right day. So this was Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, last Friday. So I took a bad loss on this one last Friday the 7th. This came through the scanner, right? I jumped on it on this candle right here. Thought, all right, we're breaking high. We're going to make a move. We got good volume. And it reversed and came down at a $3 stop, plugged me out, reversed and went up like this. And that's just the way it happened. Now, at the end of the day, the thing completely rolled over, tanked, and then a big gap down on Monday. That's why my stop loss was so important, right? Because had I not had a stop loss, I'd have been here. And then what do I do when I close down here and then open down here? All of a sudden, my, let's just call it $100 loss was a $200 loss, was a $400 loss, right? But I just want to indicate that this scan looks for stocks that are like this. I get winners, I get losers. That's a part of trading. We could edit this scan, right? And I don't know if you folks are familiar with the Trader TV group through YouTube, but we created, because they like to trade big cap stock stuff, we created big cap stock scans for them because some of their prop firm traders are not allowed to trade low float stocks like this. So let me share something that's more of a big cap, a couple of big cap winner things as well, and give you some ideas. And you compare the races, compare the scans. Oh, this one's looking for this like this, and it uses these filters. This one's looking for scans like stocks like this, and it's using these filters. And you can compare, contrast, combine, and experiment. So let me find a few other scans for you here that you might like. Load from cloud. Let me see, large. What do I call this? Biggest winners, biggest losers. Let me open the scan and see if this is the one that I want. No. Bear with me. My cloud is full of stuff from these webinars this weekend that I got to delete. Here we go. This mega cap one. So here, this gives you an idea of how we did this just slightly differently and looking for bigger cap winners, right? relative strength. There we go. And again, there's no right or wrong in scanning. You know, obviously some things are going to produce better results than other things, but ultimately you got to start to ask yourself, what am I scanning for? What am I looking for? You know, you can have the greatest, quote unquote, greatest scanner in the world. Every stock that comes through it alerts a winner. But if you don't have a plan to manage those winners and you let your winners always turn into losers, it won't matter how good the scan is. And that's the twofold part of our relationship that we have here with Trade Ideas, that we provide a lot of, you know, we provide help on scanning. We provide live real-time data like nobody else. Nobody else has data like we have. But it's a twofold system. That is the reason why I do my 3:30 sessions as well, because as I always say, everybody's got an agenda. My agenda is to get everybody to subscribe to Trade Ideas. But if you folks can't find the value in Trade Ideas, if you can't make money using Trade Ideas eventually, you're going to unsubscribe from Trade Ideas, and that doesn't help anybody. So I need you folks to make money, you know, because we want Trade Ideas to, you know, grow and get into every living room, just like a TV did. I firmly believe that everybody should learn some technical analysis and trend trading, even if it's on longer term basis, and you can do that with Trade Ideas. I understand the appeal of day trading. Obviously, it's what got me into trading. It's hard, but when you have the right tools and you put the work in, you're going to get the right results eventually. So I think we kind of covered all of that. Jeffrey, how well does Trade Ideas work with options trading? So Jeffrey, on options, we scan for options. Let me close some of this out. In just a couple of different ways here. And I'm going to show you how I scan for options. So file, load from cloud, STRLNG, strong options. So I created a scan here based on sorting for options volume, because that is what we have for options data. And if I type in options in the configure, OPTIONS, we have these 6 options filters. Put call ratio, contracts traded by an average, put volume, call volume, and then we take options volume as a percent on a 10-day average as well. So the underlying options change you'll have to look for in your broker. But for example, what I did with this scan here is I said, I want to find stocks between price X, Z, some different volume metrics, and I want to see them kind of on an uptrend here using that 20-day range here. I want to see them 75% above the low of their 20 days. So I want to see stocks that are an uptrend. And then I sorted them based on options volume, the ones that are showing me the most options action, meaning maybe someone knows something. Now, sometimes it's going to show things that had a buyout and things like that, but that's, you know, part of scanning. And so we can see all these stocks that are in this. This is what happened at the close of Friday. IMUX, you know, incredible options volume. FBP, incredible options volume. And this is done on a 10-day average. So this is doing 1,700%, meaning it's doing 17 times what it's normally doing for a 10-day average of options. This is doing 9 times. This is doing 7 times. That's 495. So it's basically doing 5 times what it's doing for options volume. This is doing 4.75 times what it's doing all the way down. And we could see things start to go under their normal options volume. ACLG now doing under, it's only doing 50% of what it's half of what it's normally doing for its options volume, and so on and so forth. So that's how I scan for options, but just giving you one example. Did the races catch ILAG last Friday? It dumped from highs to base around 4 and rip again. As a matter of fact, it did. So if I come back to relative strength from the open, oh, let me share this option scan with you too, Jeff, and you know, just to give you a base on what you're looking for. And then you could turn this into an alert window, or you could do anything you want with an alert window. Where am I? File, load from cloud, strong options in a 20-day range, share, copy. Let me paste that in here. And I mean, again, and I cannot romanticize about these races enough. just because I can go back now and I can show you this example with iLag here, right? So let's, oops, now I got to set it to the right day. Race setup. We don't want today because obviously we didn't trade today. No market data. Here we go. So now watch this. 6.5 minutes, right? And that's going to cover the whole day. And let's just give it a second here. Oh, this is the mega cap one. Oh, Christopher, wrong one. Excuse me, my apologies. That was the mega cap one. Let me get the right one. Relative strength from the open race. This is the one that I want. Pardon my error. All right, let me bring that over now this way. Let's get this nice and big for us here. All right. And let's give it a second here. And again, you know, bring this up on some charts as well. You know, and we could see real time these stocks, how strong they were at certain points in the day. Oh, I don't have it on the HTML5, so it looks a little more choppy. Pardon the look here. You know, FNGR, which ended up tanking, but look at FNGR, made these early moves here, right? Then we see a lot of inverse ETFs coming in, showing us that the market was rolling over. So that's another thing the races do for me here. I want to pause this as a matter of fact right here. Look at this right here. Look at all these inverse ETFs coming in. The overall market was doing this. So not only do I have a watch list of strong stocks that were happening over here on the winner's circle, now I can see that the market overall is falling apart and there's only a few stocks that are actually strong at this point. So let's just restart that again. Where am I? Use browser because that's much better looking. Oh, that looks so nice and clean now. So again, we're going to let this run through and you're going to see iLag in a second here. This time I won't stop it before iLag gets here, but there's just so many things that are so unbelievable about these races that are just a complete game changer. Mike C, what's happening? Thanks for popping in. Really appreciate it. We got hold on. Sorry, someone messaged me in Slack. I just want to check it out. Mr. Randall Hodge. Oh, okay. So one of our developers, he's actually one of the big architects of the races here. He's sitting and listening into the webinar with us here. And he pointed something out I didn't share with you folks at first, and I should jump to. With the free floating channel bar, it's one channel open at a time. He pointed out that with the dock channel bar, I can have multiple channels open at a time. So there's another way for you folks to be able to do that. Come on, iLag, where are you? I'm going to illustrate that with the dock channel bar in just a moment as well. And anybody with more questions, please fire those away. So here we go. There's iLag, right? Bang, on the way up, right? There it is. Catching it that whole way up. Now, out of curiosity, let's add some Bollinger Bands here because Bollinger Bands do matter for this scan. iLag would not have been caught on this scan coming back up because look where the top Bollinger Band was, right? We never got back to that level up here again. So this wouldn't have recaught it, but you can take my scan and you can adjust it. You can get rid of Bollinger Bands. You can find a different way that you want to find momentum with, right? But there are other things that would have been caught on a bounce later in the day. Let's let this continue to roll into the later part of the day. We're at 4 minutes. So I'm guessing if it's a 6.5 hour market day, you know, we're two hours into it at this point, essentially. Another one that I caught, TOP. And again, why risk management is so important, right? I mean, look at this thing, catches this unreal move, and then bam, from $30 to $5. Imagine not having a stop. Imagine getting, let's just say you got $2 of this $10 move. Imagine not taking profits on that. That's where scanning can only take you so far, right? Scanning can only take you so far. And again, as the market got really weak and sold off, look at these inverse ETFs coming up here. And we can see where, you know, 3+ hours into a trading day, and look at what's happening to the market at that point, right? And then when we get the bounces, we stop seeing all those inverse ETFs. So something really, really incredible, you know, that this racing does in real time. Again, as the market rolled off towards the end of the day here, look at all those inverse ETFs. And that would tell me, let's say I had some long trades on and they've been kind of wobbly and I'm in the money. Maybe I need to be exiting those because I see all of these inverse ETFs popping up, right? So here we come into the later part of the day. Here's VNet, right? So VNet made a nice move early. It reversed. And look at the move up that it was making later in the day. And we caught that on a bounce, right? SHPH, another one, made a big move early. And then it tanked off, and then we caught the next part of this move up again as it moved up because it didn't need to get to the Bollinger Band up top. It just needed to get near it. I, again, do not use Bollinger Bands in my charting, right? It's just a way that I wanted to find stocks that were strong with strong momentum, and that's why I use the Bollinger Bands. But I never look at them on a chart. But I want to illustrate here why something may or may not have been on the scan. Yeah, you're very welcome, Jeffrey. My pleasure. And again, anybody with any more questions, because I'll stick around as long as there's some questions here. If there's no questions, I will begin to wrap it up and get to the rest of my Sunday here. You know, HOLO, this was caught. Look at how early this was caught on this scan. This was caught here, just over $2. Makes a run all the way up to almost 270. Think about that on a percent basis, right? You know, I cannot romanticize about these enough here. So this was SHPH again, getting caught here underneath the last of that big move for you there. Question above in chat, please. Sorry, I missed it. Where did I see it? Brian. Brian, I don't see the question in here. Could you post it again for me, please? I'm sorry. I don't know why I don't see it in here. Scrolling back on all those chats. You can absolutely race on relative volume. So let me stop this here. And if we go into the race setup, I have relative volume selected as a column here, all right? So if I come into, again, right click, come into configure, you've got this configure here, and then there's the advanced configure, the actual top list, the underlying top list. If you look under columns, you'll see I have relative volume selected as a column. But there are other volume metrics we could race on too. For example, what if I wanted to race on the 5-minute volume, right? Well, right now, if I click cancel, 5-minute volume is not an option here, right? We could see all these different items that are in here to race on. But if I come back to configure and advanced, and again, I search for volume, and I look for this 5-minute volume, and I go show column, I press OK, and now I come here, there's 5-minute volume right there, 5-minute volume percent, and I could change and race on that, for example, if I wanted to. And then again, a delta value on that. And so there's all kinds of ways that I can race. In full disclosure, for the sort on, I have not experimented with doing a server sort, symbol, or these other sorts. Now, I don't think it would make sense to sort on what you want to race on, but I could be wrong. And I implore you all to experiment, and maybe you'll send me an email one day and say, hey, Chris, you know, you missed out on this. I'm just having a lot of success with what I'm doing right now. So, you know, as the saying goes, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But the reason why I like that delta value again is because the core top list found me my stocks. Then the race lanes, then the sort on the core top list sorted those stocks in a descending order from the strongest to the weakest. And then I took the top 10 of strongest to weakest, put them on the race, and the race then starts them all evenly and says, hey, this is how they're moving now after I found those really strong stocks and started racing them. But again, there is no technical right way. Some things are just going to give better results. Better results for me may not be better results to you. That's just how things work in everything in life, including trading. So yes, absolutely can race on that. And again, Brian, I just don't see a question from you. I don't know why. I keep scrolling back through the chat here. Let me open up YouTube itself. Maybe StreamYard for some reason. That's what I'm using here. Excuse me. Maybe for some reason that's not seeing it. So Brian, question above. So I'm looking through YouTube to find it. No, I'm not seeing your question. I'm sorry, Brian. Please repost that, Brian. I apologize. For some reason, that question never came through. Go. Joe, how are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I see there's more numbers in here than there's been all morning long. So if someone is just joining and they're trying to figure out what we're doing here, please ask some questions. I'm demonstrating trade ideas scanning software. We have our test drive going on. It's a very cheap way to try the software. I guess a plug here. If you have not joined the test drive yet, it's $11.11. It'll get you full access to the software until the 31st of this month. So there's a link that you can sign up for it if you haven't done so already. And again, I'm just going over some of the basic functions of the software to get you folks going here. Some of how I use the software. As I always say, I could sit here and talk about this software to you folks for 5 straight hours and not cover everything. It's just that advanced. There's just that much in-depth knowledge that can be done on the software. There's so many time frames that we can scan on. Day trading, swing trading, position trading, so on and so forth. So again, I've got the floor open here more as a Q&A as I've done. I think a lot of the basics of going over it, and even those basics took me slightly over an hour, as you could see. So again, please, 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 folks, fire some questions away for me while I'm here. So Brian, okay, so since the last test drive, what are the new most valuable features worth focusing on? Since the August test drive, I don't know that we've added too much as far as functioning of scans. Things that we added, if you want to share charts like this, you can do that using that function here. We have added, I don't think we had compared charts on the last test drive. So if you want to use compare charts, we can go to chart style, comparison charts, and I could type in a symbol here. Let's go with, we can compare anything we want to the SPY. Let's get a nice thick line here. All right, let's make this a daily chart. All right. And let's compare SPY to the GLD, right? Good old GLD. Let's get rid of Bollinger Bands. Let's clean this up. I just want to illustrate here. Remove, 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 save, close, chart style. Let's go with a line chart. And now, I'm comparing the GLD to the SPY, right? SPY is going to be in pink. GLD is in blue. So this is something we've added, I believe, since last test drive, and the ability to change the line thickness and so on and so forth. And go through and compare anything to the SPY, and you can compare multiple charts like that. We can come back to chart style, comparisons. I can throw a few other items in here as well if I wanted, SMH. All right, so now I've got the SMH, the SPY, and gold, comparing the three of them, how they look to each other based on starting back here in June of 2021, all the way up to here. And then, so I think those are the big ones. Everything else, we had the racing before. We've added replay mode. I think the replay mode is what we added, Brian, as well. I believe that is something that was just added since August. What else is something that we added since August? Gee, I'm trying to think here. Oh, we added the alert logging tool for those of you that want to export data from alert windows. So if you go to Tools, Options, and you go to General, you could add the CSV logger. And so everything in your alert windows that's active will get sent to a spreadsheet for you. We also added we just some different internal functions with the grids and how big you can make the columns display and getting rid of minimum size of columns and things of that nature. There's just some other little internal things to clean up or make things a little more organizable for each individual. So those are some of the big ones that I would go with there, Brian. As far as day trading goes, this race is it for me right now. It's all I focus on. Let me load up. Let me close down some stuff here, and I'm going to show you exactly what my layout is during the day. And get rid of all of these items here. So just to see what my layout is, File, Load Layout. Why did you do that? Oh, I know why you did that. Bear with me 1 second here. I forgot I changed something in my setup here that caused that to happen. Windows, Tools, Options, Layouts. Do not open relative to main window. Save. Now File, Load Layout. It's my new test layout here. Give me just a moment while that loads. There we go. So this is my layout during the day for all my day trading. This has been my layout since March of this year. These two scans I'm about to put X's on are exactly the same scan, but this one shows the races with the top 10 winners. This one shows all winners. The only difference between these two scans here with the X's and this scan with the X in the 0 is price. These two with the X's have a maximum of $30 on their price. This has a maximum of $100 on its price. That's it. Everything else is the same. I like 15-minute charts. I also like 5-minute charts to confirm. So using the dock feature, I have these tabbed back and forth like that. I also have an extra single stock window that I use for actually posting a lot of charts when I'm looking at charts and posting on Twitter about them. And then, as always, every trader should always be looking left. So I have my smallest time frame, largest time frame like this. And that's it. That's how I use this. I do have a price alerts window that's on another window or on another screen. And I delete all my price alerts after every trading day. I left these open because I wanted to be able to illustrate the price alerts from Friday because I knew I had these webinars yesterday, Friday, and today coming up. But I have this price alerts window that's here. That's like this. Actually, you know what? I can share my other screen. Let me swap screens really quick. So this is my main screen for scanning. And then bear with me. You get a full shot of my face. Here is my other screen. So here you can see I have the TI strength alerts here. I have compare count windows up here to get market breadth. I have a pinned SPY chart to watch the SPY. I have a pinned SPY single stock window here, and my price alerts live over here. This is the strength alerts, the top 5 strength alerts from the week that Michael has sent out for the people that have that newsletter or look at the strength alerts channel. And I have a sector analysis list over here as well. So that's really what I've done here. That's my entire layout. Everything you see here, this is my entire layout, everything between those two screens. If I really tried, I might be able to fit them all in one screen using tabs and things like that. That's it. That's how I use it, Brian. I do have a set of scans that I look at when I'm doing my swing trade analysis, but I haven't been doing much of that since March. It's just not a swing trade environment for me, so I'm really not scanning for swing trade ideas. I do some a couple times a week. I post them on one of our Twitter channels or Twitter accounts, and I also post them on my own personal Twitter account as well. So, I do still do some scanning for swing trading. I'm just not willing to take any risk right now. More trader talk than software talk, looking at this market and, without getting too much in any technical analysis of the market right now, I don't like the main direction of the trend right now is down. Every time I feel like we're getting a bounce, and maybe there might be a bounce where I could take a few swing trade ideas. That's not saying that's a bounce in the next bull market, but just you have some really good bull runs in bear markets. As we can see here, a few of them have happened like this. I just haven't been able to get on the right side of them for swing trading. So I just continue to go to cash every night right now. But if you ask me, the biggest money is made in swing trading. And when you get a bull market like this and you can recognize, even if we recognize this bull run here, getting back above pre-pandemic highs on the SPY, what a run that was, right? And imagine getting pieces of this run, what you could have done with that. And that's why I think swing trading is the big money is in swing trading. Anywho, with that said, is that template available to share? Yes, it is. Let me look for that really quick. File, load from cloud. Just give me a minute here. I know I saved Chris's layout. All right, share. There's one thing you're going to have to change on this. All right, so copy, paste. All right, so that's my entire layout, but there's one thing I can't share directly, and you can make the change right now with me. So if anybody wants to load that layout, let me swap screens again. So coming to this screen that's right here, this sector analysis list is actually looking at a personal list that I created for sector analysis, but I created an internal one I can share with you folks as well. So if everybody loads that layout, okay, and you come to symbols list, all right, right click again, configure, symbols list, go to add existing list, and scroll down and look for sector analysis users guide. Click on that. And you'll see sector analysis users guide, put a check mark in that one, get rid of sector analysis personal, and then press OK, and then save the layout like that. And then you'll have this here. I created a sector analysis list that's exactly like the one I look at, but saved server side so you folks can use it. If you don't want to do that, you could do this instead. You can have that whole layout that I shared, and you could load this sector analysis list instead. SEC sector analysis, share, copy, paste, and then you can load that. And you can see here it is, and here it loads. Of course, it loads on the other screen now. And you'll see if you come to configure on what I just shared with you, if you come to symbols list, sector analysis users guide, that's exactly the list that I look at for my sector analysis as well. And so you have all that there, and everything else in the scan will work exactly the same as I just shared with you folks. That's the only customized part of my layout that I can't directly share like that. But there's two workarounds for you folks to get that sector analysis list like that. Now I know there's other things that came in here. So I went over that with Brian. Would love to see developers add opening MOO and closing MOC for NYSE and NASDAQ. That's semi-developer, Christopher, and semi-data feeds. Data costs a lot of money. And so we have to be able to justify those data feeds that enough users would subscribe based on that we wouldn't have to pass that cost along to you folks. Anything that we add data-wise is always at a cost. And contrary to anybody's popular belief, we're a very small company. We're about 30 of us. We're not some big conglomerate, multi-billion-dollar national company or something like that. So, Christopher, it's not that we're unwilling to add things like that. We just have to be able to justify adding things, on a cost basis. So, but I always encourage people to do this. SUPPORT at trade ideas. I cannot type and talk. I cannot type and talk at the same time. So. So support at trade-ideas.com. We take all feature requests, we mark them, they get cataloged. When we have one person out of thousands of people request something, it's unfortunately that's just the way things work in life. It will not get the same attention as 1,000 people requesting something at the same time. That's how they get kind of cataloged and ordered and prioritized and things of that nature. So again, Christopher, throw in a request there. I will look forward to coming to the mailbox. I'll mark it as a feature request, and it'll get filed into that set for you there. That's for any request, not just you with that specific one, Christopher, just you only. Anybody that has features requests, throw them in there. We do not ignore them. There are limitations that we have as a behind the scenes kind of thing. We're migrating our server sort and we're migrating our servers essentially to AWS, which will give us more flexibility and space. And that may lead to some new data and data points in the not too distant future. Is the not too distant future a month? Is it 6 months? I don't know. Developers are obviously always working to get things done as quickly as they can. But when you're dealing with, couldn't even imagine how many lines of code. I can't even pretend to know how difficult, easy, and feasible these things are. Generally speaking, developers are much more intelligent than I am when it comes to all that stuff, or not. When it comes to that stuff, they're more intelligent than I am on that, obviously, but more intelligent than I am, generally speaking. Can you share that race window as a link? I shared it. Let me share it again, just in case you didn't get it, Joe. File, load from cloud, relative strength from the open, share, copy, and paste. And there it is, shipped off to you again. Got Brian that template. Can you share your main screen layout? Yep, I sent that over already, Jeff. If someone is asking for a link that I've shared in the past and you didn't get it for some reason, just repost now again, and I'll post that. Tell me what the link was, and I'll post it now again for you folks. And again, anybody with questions, fire those away for me, please, please, please. And again, if someone is new and they haven't signed up for the test drive yet, you're serious about trading, you're serious about learning, you're serious about the software and the tools behind it, test drive, $11.11. We've got a lot of support, a great community around here, and we're no nonsense. We're no nonsense in the sense that nobody in Trade Ideas is ever going to tell you what to buy, sell, hold, how to trade, what to trade, or anything like that. We take chart requests and we'll look at charts and say, I'm seeing this revision to this moving average, or this break of this support line, or this break of this resistance line, or this throwback to this resistance line, so on and so forth. But we're never going to say that's a buy level, that's a sell level. What I consider a buy level, you might not consider a buy level. And we're not licensed to do things like that, number one. And number two, what if I tell you this is a buy level and you buy it and then it ends up tanking? Who are you blaming? You're blaming me. So again, there's a link to sign up for the test drive if you have not signed up for it. Something I disclaimer in general as well, as anybody's looking for that get rich quick scheme, we're not going to be it. It's work. Trading is hard work, and trading is not a job. I always say trading is not a job. Trading is a business. If you open a business, you got to have a business plan. Most people don't have the capital to open a business. They go to a bank with their business plan, get a loan from the bank, and then the bank says, love that business plan. We're behind you. We think you're great. Here's your loan. You go to a bank to open a business and you have no business plan. Bank's going to say, great, love the idea for the business, but you don't have a plan. I can't give you no money. Well, you are not only the architect of your business plan and the architect of your business, you're the bank in this case too. Are you really going to give yourself money for a brokerage account when you have no plan to execute trades and how to manage them? But stick around here, and just by listening to the webinars that the folks do here on the 5 o'clock Eastern webinars, Monday through Friday, hanging around in the traders room with Barry during the week, hanging around with me and my live streams during the week, we're going to talk trades. We're going to talk trading plans. We're going to talk about things that we saw. We're going to talk about support and resistance. We're going to talk about things outside of the software that can help you formulate them. And again, for those that might not have been here early, I'm a completely self-taught trader. Now, full disclosure, the first 2 years of my trading, I got my butt kicked. Totally got my butt kicked the first 2 years. I also didn't have a trading plan those first 2 years. I had no reasoning behind the stop losses that I was setting. I had no reasoning behind managing trades when I had winning trades. And I cannot tell you, I probably let 7 out of 10 winning trades turn into losers. Sinful what I did. But it wasn't until I started formulating a trading plan that I had success. So, you know, we reap what we sow and all those things like that. Again, anybody with questions, fire those away. I know I'm kind of droning on here. I'm looking for you folks to generate content for me now to spit back at you right now. Blue. Hello, Chris. Do you know if more technical indicators and conditions will be available as screening criteria filters in the near future? In the near future, depends on what you define as near. In the next year, I'll say we'll probably add 1 or 2. In the next month, definitely not adding any. You got 500 different ones in here. If I come to which screen are we on? We're on the screen. If I come to and open an alert window, I mean, you've got over 500 different items to scan for in here. There are some custom abilities, but the custom abilities have to live with in the system of data that we have, meaning we don't have a code compiler for you folks to use, but you can take existing code of filters, not alerts, of filters within the system and create things. So as an example, our dollar volume is done based on a 10-day average of volume of shares, but dollar volume is just a calculation of VWAP and price. And since we have price and VWAP in the system, you could create dollar volume today as a filter. So there's a lot that can be done here, and you don't have to necessarily be a coder. You just have to understand some math and order operations and things like that. And those that are interested in customs and that kind of more advanced thing, again, come to education, user's guide, custom formulas, and you get a description of how to use those custom formulas in there. Get you a link for the user's guide that want to dive into that. Trade ideas, user's guide. And to take it one step further for you folks, just to give you an idea here, if I go to the accounts management page and I go to custom formulas, I have no magic formula in here. Most of these formulas are from advanced users that had issues with their scans. And then they asked me to take a look at their scans, and they gave me their formula that was in the scan so that I could put it into it and look for it. But just for an example, dollar volume today. If I come into the edit here, we can see today's volume as a code, today's VWAP times each other, and that gives me that. There are, inside the user's guide link, it'll get you to pages like this help page here that gives you some instructions on how to do this, and it gives you some different data points that exist within the system, all right? As well as the main body of codes lives over here. And these are all short codes that exist within the system. Again, no code compiler, but you can certainly do some really awesome fancy things with these codes by mixing and matching them and going through again in the instructions. We can look at these standard operators here and how to use those. Again, if you have questions, you get hung up on this, give us an email, support@trade-ideas.com. And more likely than not, Stephanie will be the one that's helping you with the custom stuff, as I am no customs expert. If you have Brokerage Plus issues, I'll be the one that's helping you with the Brokerage Plus issues. So that's kind of how that goes. Thanks, Chris. Certainly we need something like money flow, volume oscillators. Well, funny that you mentioned money flow. So I don't know if you were here, but we went over the Market Explorer and how it's a new tech that we can do a lot of different things on our end and push it out to you folks. And eventually the Market Explorer will become customizable. Right now, the Market Explorer is not customizable. But if you go to New Market Explorer, you are going to get this window here. You can click on this and get the Market Explorer User's Guide, but a right click gets you all the strategies that exist and Money Flow Index. We have Money Flow Index scanning on a few different items that are in here. So you've got those there. Indicators, no, we're not quite there for all of it yet, but you do have money flow index for an indicator as well. So it's right there for charts as an indicator. So we're getting there. We're getting there slowly but surely. We're always adding stuff, different sectors, a piece at a time. Again, any other questions right now, please fire those away for me. As we go radio silence on me in the chat panel, I will begin to start to make my way out of here. So something else, Randall, one of our developers listening in here, mentioned to me about new features here. And this will go back for Brian that asked me about new features. If we look here, I'll just bring this over here. On my race, you can see that little camera right here. Whoops. You can click that. And you get a URL here that you can share as well for the races as to Twitter or wherever else. And he mentions, so if you're doing it for the 15 delay now, it's not going to show today's data, but it'll show, tomorrow we could show tomorrow's data, because we're we're on the weekend, excuse my brain. So another new feature Randall just pointed out to me that has definitely, since the last test drive that's out there. Market Explorer is very strong, Blue. Like I said, we have some limitations right now as far as custom abilities in it for you folks. But as we continue to work away, and I'm using the royal we because it's not me. I'm really not the one that's doing this stuff. I'm the one that understands many of the functions, maybe not all the functions, and is out here describing these to you folks and where you can find them. It's the developers working their magic behind the scenes that get us to this point. Michael Noss being one of them. While he's a trader, he's also the guy that, every scan, every indicator that exists is price and volume. And he literally takes just price and volume, does all the math to create this stuff. Because we don't buy this data from anybody else. We don't buy money flow index from someone. We don't buy SMAs. We don't buy EMAs. We don't buy Bollinger Bands. We literally take price and volume, digest it, and spit it back out to you as all of this. And it creates, I can't even imagine, like trillions of data points, I guess. I don't even know. And not only does it create all these data points, but we constantly have to make sure that these data points are accurate at all times, coming back out to you folks. So now on things like fundamental data, obviously that's coming from a data provider, but our data providers don't provide us Bollinger Bands. They don't provide us new highs. They don't provide us RSI. They don't provide us the crosses. They don't provide us VWAP. The developers have done all the coding and work to turn price and volume into every single one of those that you see before you in all those filters that we have in the configures of alert windows and topless. Pretty magical what they do, to be honest. I couldn't even begin to understand it. So again, anybody with questions, fire those away for me. Sorry, just checking some other internal messaging here. There we go. So I just wanted to message someone back. So, all right, folks, if that's it on the question, I'm going to do a little walkout here. So first thing that I ask, always ask for some selfless plugs. So I would love it if you folks would come to our YouTube page, all right, and subscribe and like anything possible and at every and all times. The more recognition we get, the more subscribers we get, the better, the more data we'll be able to put out for you folks. It's just a twofold like that. The more we succeed as a company, the more things we can do as a company. All right. This past year, for those that aren't aware, we lowered our prices actually this past year. We'd had some successes and we wanted to pass those successes along. So existing users saw a reduction in their annual subscription prices. New users, they saw a reduction that they never even knew existed in annual subscription prices. So, we try to give back where we can, and that's why I do things like this as well. I'm off on the weekends, but I try to give back. I try to pay it forward. And this is, these are the small ways that I can pay it forward to the company and to our subscribers and potential subscribers. So there's our YouTube channel. Please, again, like and subscribe. Videos, you're going to find replays from the last couple of test drives. So here's Friday night. Here is yesterday. And here's today live right now. This will become a recording at some point in the not too distant future. Each one had a slightly different flavor in them. You can click on them and you can pile through them. There's all kinds of other webinars that we've done, all those videos that they live here. There's different playlists that are in here. All right. So you can check all these different things out for all kinds of, not just trader software education, but trader education in there as well. Again, on our homepage, I get that to load up. There we go. Education tab, ultra important. All right. I'm going to drop a link again to the education tab in here for you folks. If I can find that. Education. There we go. Copy and paste. All right. There's the educations tab. Bring my drawing tool over. This join the live class will get you into the live YouTube streaming. Technically, this opens at 9 o'clock Eastern each day. At noon Eastern each day, you get a different trader. You'll get me on Mondays, Michael Noss Tuesday, Jamie Hodge on Wednesdays, Steve Gomez Thursdays, and Andy Lindloff on Fridays. Those are the noon Eastern ones. 3:30 Eastern every day, I take over for Barry. Barry streams on two sides. There is our traders room and there's the YouTube side. Barry never gives up the stream on the traders room. There's one link for it and a second link down here. All right. Barry gives up the stream on this side of it at those described times, here and here. So we're with you live all day, every day for the trading time or for the trading hours. All right. That important getting started series is here. It's 30 minutes. You can probably skip the first two, cutting it down to 23, 24 minutes or something like that. You may not need an introduction to charts or anything like that. So you can also cut some of those out. 10 individual videos, averaging about 3 minutes. Do yourself a favor. Take those 20, 25 minutes. All right. Daily webinars. They're on pause till the end of the test drive, but they're bi-weekly. So 1 week will be Monday, Wednesday. The next week is Tuesday, Thursday. If you're someone that's still learning trading and obviously the software, get in these webinars. I learned an incredible amount in these webinars in the 3+ years that I was attending them before I was so lucky enough to come to work for the Trade Ideas team. More educational videos here, covering not just the software, but trading in general. And then again, back to basics here. Michael Noss literally starts with what is a stock, intro to charts, candlesticks, support and resistance, and comes all the way to artificial intelligence. 36 parts. If you're serious about trading, if you're not one of those, I'm just trying to get rich and I want to automate and go play around with golf and come home and count my money from trading, as long as you're not one of those people, this is where you need to head. It is hard work. I just, as I disclosed before, it took me 2 years before I became a profitable trader. And even when I became a profitable trader, it wasn't like, oh, here I've arrived. It was, instead of just consistently losing money, I was consistently making a little bit of money. And in the couple of years since then, I've continued to grow as a trader. It's a realistic path. Restaurants aren't profitable in their first years. Box stores are not profitable in their first years. Amazon didn't take over the entire world until 10+ years in. All right. Walmart didn't do what they did right away. Everything great takes time, and including you becoming a successful day and or swing trader is going to take time and investment. If you're like me and you're just a fan of markets in general, I highly recommend checking out these trading books that we put in here. They're ebooks. They're all free. Couple of clicks away and you're into those. And I believe that covers everything that I need to cover in here. Time for one more. Yes, Market Explorer, MA Cross by Diagonal Daily. What MA Cross is that based on? Let me see here. Always time for one more, especially for you, Jamie. No, sorry. Yes, Market Explorer. Let me see if I can find that. Let me ping Michael and see if he's around. Bear with me a moment. Let's see if I can figure this out on my own. So which one are we looking at again? MA Cross by MA Cross. Which one, Jamie? Not seeing MA Cross candlestick pattern bar Bollinger Composite MA signal. I don't see signal. Strat, support and resistance. Huh. Send me an email, Jamie, with this screenshot because I don't see signal in here. I'm seeing, all these selected strategies. Relative strength index, strength alerts, pattern recognition, gap fill, candlestick pattern, Bollinger Band, composites, MACD, moving average. We've got, cross over. There we go. Sorry, I got it now. My apologies, Jamie. I didn't realize it was double. Moving average, daily cross. I bet it's a 10 SMA. But give me 1 second. I don't know that he's going to answer me right this second. So send me a reminder email, SUPPORT at send me an email there just in case he doesn't answer me in the next few minutes here before we wrop up. You guys, thank you, Blue. Really appreciate that. Always appreciate the positive feedback. Do you rate your published scans? No, there's no rating on the published scans because, it would require back testing and optimizing, and the market's always changing and things like that. So we just don't have a rating for them. Sorry there, Jack. I would say long scans are going to be better in an up market in general. Down scans are going to be better in a down market in general. That's just the way it goes. If you look at individual stocks, you're going to find that almost all individual stocks are going to track the SPY and or the Qs pretty closely. So very few are trading alpha every day, and that's just kind of the way it is at this point. Is a multi-strategy window, is there a way to customize the columns under configure all? Yes, Joseph, you're going to look for properties on that. So let me open a multi-window. So if we look here, here's Extreme Master Blaster. right click, properties, columns, and you'll be able to do that here. And you can search columns as well and add it that way. Show column. So again, right click the multi-window, properties, columns. Oh, for Brian that asked earlier, here's something else that we added. We now have the symbols that you can put into the alert windows, price alert windows, and so on and so forth for those that want the stock symbols. My pleasure, Jeffrey, my pleasure. So Michael might not be around right now. Jamie, I just hit him. I tagged him in Slack to see if he'd answer me in our traders thread, but have not heard back as of now. But I'm guessing moving average crossover buy signal volume last. It was to a daily. Trying to think here. It's on the 14th. That's an 8 EMA. That's a 20 SMA. Yeah, I think it's the 10 because we crossed here on the 8 EMA, which is pretty close to a 10 SMA. But I'm not 100% positive. Damn spam bots. So, all right, folks, I think that will wrap it up for me. But give me an email, Jamie, to that there, and this way I just have it fresh in my mind. And when Michael finally answers me, I can shoot that response back over to you. And any questions that you folks have moving forward, that again, support@trade-ideas.com will get you to me, Steve, Andy, Jamie, Steve, Stephanie. Barry pops his head in there, but Barry's more likely to answer you through the trader's room. He's got enough on his plate to say the least as it is. And I hope that I'll see you all back here tomorrow at 3:30 at noon Eastern. I'll be here tomorrow at noon Eastern from this side here. And I'll be back again on the 3:30 Eastern side of things as well after my noon Eastern session. So I appreciate you all you folks taking the time on Sunday morning to come, hang, chat with me, go over this. For those of you that are truly serious, I think, I think this is the right step for taking a big step towards the future of managing your own finances. You don't need, nobody needs to be financial genius to do any of this. I'm certainly not. And over the coming weeks, if you join me, I'm going to show you about trend analysis. I'm a huge believer in trend analysis. I'm going to show you different ways that I identify things on scans as we continue to grow, and move forward together as a community, I hope. So again, I really appreciate you coming in here, all the questions, the comments, and the interactions. I'm a huge believer in community. And again, I thank you all for taking the time here. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your Sunday, wherever you are on the spinning globe we call Earth. Again, thank you and take care, folks. Adios.